What's up, everybody? It's Coach Dave, and I lift.
It's Coach Cameron, and I lift.
Welcome to the She Lifts, He Lifts podcast. And tonight we are talking about what is just not enough. And that is basically the things parts of our body that we don't train enough. Okay. Even the people that come in who are avid gym goers, there are parts that we don't train for whatever reason. And the big ones we're going to talk about, I'll give you the list. We're going to talk about our grip and forearms. We're going to talk about our low back and upper back. Meaning the central back, not our lats. I feel like we do enough with our lats. Our feet and our calves.
The foundation.
Right, the foundation. So, and all of those things are foundations.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I have some theories of why we don't train them.
Okay.
One of the things is and I'm guilty of saying this myself, is I say compound lifts. That should be your foundation. But these other things are important too.
They are.
So I think another reason I think is they are not, most of the exercises that you do for those specific parts of the body are just not exciting or sexy, or, no one ever walks into a gym and says, "Oh, check out that guy over there doing wrist curls."
Well, I think yes. I think also people, and I announced this, people think they're already warmed up because they've been moving around all day.
Right.
And they think, oh, I've been walking on my feet, so my feet are great.
Right.
My calves are being worked all day. I don't need to work those.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're in a laborious job and you chuck things and you move things. You think, oh, my back's strong enough, or this is strong enough, or I've stretched out enough.
That was a big word.
Yeah, and then laborious.
And
I think they just kind of, again, they don't think about the workout as a beginning, a middle, and an end.
I agree.
They just come in and do a muscle that they think is important, and they only know big muscle groups.
Well, and that's a big part of it. And again, I feel like the piggybacking on that is, again, those, especially those people that are working out later in the day or early in the morning, who don't have an hour or whatever. They're going to focus on, through, like you said, the beginning, the middle most of the time, but that end, that those last. We talk about the last couple inches in football being a game of inches. In the Olympics, that the swimmer not the sprinter who won a gold medal by point.
Oh yes, like shave of time.
Right, like an almost imperceptible amount of time won a gold medal. I mean, that was a different. So again, these are those little things. Little things can go a long way. Another part of it, and I've said this before, is all of fitness, and everyone thinks I'm down on it. I'm not, but all of fitness sort of does have some sort of roots in bodybuilding. And in bodybuilding, a lot of those specific muscle groups are not the ones being judged. So when you're getting workouts and looking at Jay Cutler's leg workout, or Ronnie Coleman's arm workout, or insert bodybuilder and body part here, you're not looking at so-and-so's grip workout. But why are they important? So all of those ones are, what we just mentioned, are foundations, and we're going to get into them. They are all not only just for the physical part of it, but also for your health and your longevity, as we always talk about on this show, is your health and your longevity. So let's get started. We're going to start with the back, and the reason I want to start with the back is because I said the lower and upper back, and everyone was like, well, I train my back, twice a week. No, you train your lats twice a week.
Most of the time.
But are you hitting your rhomboids and your upper traps? Are you hitting your upper glutes and your spinal erectors? Are you hitting those things? Why are those important? So let's start with the upper back. What's important about the upper back? Our posture is a big thing. We see people walking in with rounded shoulders from working in computers, from texting, from driving. And there are people that say that, oh, posture is not something that is just something that is, I've heard people say posture is just something that is genetic. It's based on your body frame and your body type. In some respects, yes, but again, posture is a learned behavior.
It's a learned behavior.
Posture is absolutely a learned behavior.
And it's a mobility. I mean, it's if you don't try to open up, if you don't use yoga, stretching, you don't do things, it's going to keep getting tighter and tighter.
Corrective exercises. Yeah. Again, one of the things that I've started doing recently, anytime I bench press, I usually do, and usually with a band,
Okay.
so I'm not taking up 2 machines. But I'll bench press, and I'll tie a band around around one of the posts of the bench,
Okay.
and I'll do face pulls with a band. Because I've spent so much time doing this and pushing my shoulders out in front,
Yep.
now I'm gonna pull them back and get them back in line. The upper back specifically, when it comes to our pulling strength, is a foundation. Yes, our lats are the things doing the bulk of the work, but if you have, think of a motor that's a 700 horsepower motor that's not bolted into the frame correctly.
Right.
Right. It can be the strongest motor in the world, but if it's not bolted into the
Right.
if it's not bolted into the frame, it's gonna rattle, it's gonna come out, it's gonna blow, all of these things. And same thing with your back. If your lats can be super strong, but if you can't stabilize your upper back while you're pulling something, that means shit.
It doesn't.
And the other thing, it can throw off your body alignment because, like we said, rounded shoulders. If those muscles aren't strong, your ability to hold your shoulders up, back, hold your neck up, now that's what starts to create that rounded shoulder look.
Yeah, and I mean, we have to remember that the body is created, and like, if you do any type of yoga or talk to anyone about hips, that's your junk drawer of the body. It's where the legs come in, it's where the upper body comes in, and we have to remember that the shoulders are connected to the hips. We have this wonderful system, the fascia fibers, and that plays a lot of role. A lot of times, again, not going after, but it's not always about the workout. Sometimes it's about the mobility. Sometimes it's about the flexibility. You might be as strong and can hold this, but you can't hold it for a long time because your fascia fibers are tight and you need to work on those. So again, a lot of times people are just going after workouts for muscles and they're not thinking all the other systems that are going along with it. Mobility, I'm considering mobility a system. You're not working that joint action and that movement.
Right. So now let's travel on down to the upper back. The upper back the lower back, excuse me. The lower back, when I say your lower back, I'm talking about your glutes. I'm talking about your spinal erectors. I'm talking about, like you said,
the low end.
The low end.
Yeah.
Everything that is between your butt and your ribs. Okay. 2 out of every 10 people in their life will experience, 8 out of every 10 people will experience some sort of low back pain.
Mm-hmm.
Most low back pain.
And don't say it's just because you're old.
I mean, some of it's because we're old, right?
No.
Dude, I saw a great meme the other day, and I'm going to say this on camera because I know you'll get to love it. It said we don't stop exercising because we get old. We get old because we stop exercising.
Yeah, man.
And I just love that saying. So I would just put that out there.
I'm living forever. I've said this before. Forever.
I don't know if I want to do that.
Hey, man, if it's a quality life, right? Yeah.
I mean, yes. But anyway, so 80% of low back pain is not related to your spine. And as a matter of fact, it's not related to your back at all. And I actually I didn't put that in my notes. I actually might be slightly higher than that, but it started with an 8. It's mostly reserved, believe it or not, to your butt. Some can be attributed to your knees as well, and knees and hips and feet. And we're going to get to your feet in a little bit. But pretty much, it's anywhere on the chain, on the kinetic chain, that is out of whack can present as low back pain, especially if you have weak glutes, if you have weak spinal erectors. Mm-hmm. And I think that is, if you told me of all of these areas, you said pick out of one of these 5 categories that I picked, what doesn't get trained the most, this is the one. And this is the one, I think, because since we are this big, we are told not to bend down. When I try to teach people to hip hinge, 90% of them want to squat.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people just don't know how to bend over. They bend over from their shoulders,
from their mid back,
and it's just, it's this hump over. Mm-hmm. Even, and you see it in yoga, you see it in a lot of different things. And again, people just don't know how to hit that hinge and allow that forward fold to happen.
Right.
And again, something that you have to practice. All of this is something you have to practice. It's not just going to become natural to you, because even in fitness, working out for years and years and years, someone's going to be able to come up and just gently tweak and give you a better workout.
It's happened to me. It's happened to you. I know I've been working out. You've done it to me. Matt Wilson's done it to me. Deidre's done it to me. Where I've been working out, and they'll say, "Oh, try this." My boss has
Just
done it to
try
me.
it.
You know, try pulling your shoulders back, doing this, or putting your
Yeah.
arms. Or don't get so
Turn
low
your
to
foot
go
this way.
right.
I mean, just anything. Put it a little bit higher. Like, and if you're not open for suggestions, I don't care how professional you are, how long you've been in the industry. If you're not willing to try something just to see if it works out, that's your loss.
That is absolutely true. One of the foundations, I think, of all trainers is your ability to continue to grow and evolve.
Well, we all have something to offer.
We do, and one of the things Carol and I did a show about a while back was things that we had changed our mind on, because research gets better, science gets better, technology gets better. We were able to see things that we couldn't see before. And when you're working out yourself, you can't always see your feet, your head, your little things, you know.
Well, I've always told people, don't say you won't ever do that, because then you put yourself in a box.
Right.
And
never say
then
never.
when you do it, it's like, oh, I thought you said you were never going to do that.
So with your glutes, the glutes can be the foundation, is sort of like when you talk, the feet is the base of everything, but your glutes are really the foundation of your spine, because that is where your spine ends, is in your pelvis, right near your upper glutes. So when you have low back pain, there are things that you can do to strengthen it. You can do Superman's glute bridges, your abductors. I wish I can't never say it. That way.
Abductors.
Coming out. Move your legs out. Isometric hold. So if you get in a row position and hold a weight, even if you don't row, if you can hold your weight with a neutral spine, you are putting stress on your spinal erectors. Superman's is another one, a very basic beginner, and some more fit people get down on that. I'm like, dude, no. Most people, they're like, oh, it doesn't do much. No, it doesn't do much for you. It doesn't do a whole lot for me, who works out every day. But for your brand new people,
it's a great way to
get the
and not to have to make them lift and to get something.
Right. And not only that, the other thing I like about it is it teaches someone how to move their spine in that flex position, which most of us are taught not to do.
Sure.
From the time we're able to pick something up.
But something else we need to identify with that low back section is sometimes the glutes are too strong. The hamstrings are too strong. And that's where the myofascial release comes in, and releasing the muscles to release. Because I always explain the junk drawer, the hip area, including the glutes and everything, as imagine a person standing there. And the person is the glutes, the butt. And he's got his arms holding onto your back and pulling down, and then someone's hanging on his legs, which are your legs. It's just always going to be pulling right there in that back. If we could release this man and have a little freedom there, it's going to release the pull on the hamstring, it's going to release the pull on the back, and it's going to be such a dynamic feeling that you can get better lifts. And a lot of times we look at things and we think, oh, that problem's becoming because you're not strong enough, but there might be a problem of too much tightness or strength in there.
And that, I mean, I feel like that is, you're right. I feel like that is not much less of a problem overall. Like if I lined up 10 people with low back pain and they all had glutes, most of them would have either weak or underactive.
Weak, but the problem is that tightness, and that in that myofascial area that's pulling, that's doing the pulling. The muscles are weak, but until we get that foundation softened, you can't grow. You can't have the ability to get the strength that you want.
Well, we were just talking about this before I hit the record button, is how I have a client, a member of yours, that can't feel her glutes because
they don't fire,
because they don't, because and running, excessive running can cause that.
And then that's IT banned. So then the thing with fitness is it's not all in one spot. It's never usually like if you go to Charm City and they make you walk, and if you're pronating in, they can diagnose and say, okay, you've got outer, inner, and they can look at how you're walking, because again, it will, when we're going to get to this one, it goes down to feet as well.
The other thing is too, the one thing that I will say is they've done, because I knew someone who went to Charm City, they had him walk and then they had him run.
Yes.
Because especially people who are competitive or avid runners, they learned it while they're running to get their feet knees, toe, and then when they walk, everything goes to shit.
You're willing to train yourself in your running.
Right.
But walking is just kind of free for all.
So what else can we do? Our glute bridges, our glute kickbacks. Band walks is another one because we don't just move our legs in a straight
Sure.
line. We move our legs side to side, which is another part of the leg training that I really think is underrated. Is we train too much in this transverse or frontal plane, this straight up and down
Right.
plane, where we're not teaching ourselves to move
To
laterally.
do the lateral lunges and things.
Lateral
Yeah.
side lunges, all of those things. I mean, muscular deconditioning is a big one. In your glutes can lead to poor posture, overall muscle imbalances. Comes from excessive sitting and lifting lifting heavy objects incorrectly.
Yeah.
Because again, we want, instead of hinging at the hips, we
Right.
squat. All right, let's move on down to our calves.
I hate calves.
I hate calves too because, and again, this goes
They
back
really
to
hurt when you work them out right.
Oh God,
Yeah,
there is no soreness. I don't care if people say my quads or my pecs or whatever. There is no soreness that is as
Like
god awful as a sore calf, because there is nothing you can do that to like, if your quads hurt, you can stay standing. If your biceps hurt, you cannot try not to.
More. It's just a tough.
You can't not walk.
It's just a pain. It's like a sharp needle on your back of your calf.
But that being said, most people don't train them because again, going back to the two things I said in the very beginning, training can't. No one says, look at that guy. Oh, look at how much that guy is doing calf raises.
Well, and also, I think they're in the fitness industry and out in the world, it's been identified like calves are a genetic feature. Like if you don't have them, you're not going to get them.
And there is some truth to that.
There is some truth to that. So that, I mean, I myself don't have great calves. Darren doesn't have great calves.
Me neither.
So, and I'm telling you, like for 2 years solid, Darren and I, this is back when we were younger, working in New York. I mean, we worked calves. I mean, and it was just like, oh, I'd measure them and they wouldn't be that much bigger. I'd be like, I've worked so hard. So that is one of those muscles. But when you figure out what the calf offers the entire body, you remember not to forget it.
But that goes back to the overall sort of theme of the show, is that what are we here for? Are we here to have bigger, just visibly bigger muscles, or are we here for overall health? And that's why I wanted to put this list together tonight, is because again, the one thing I promote and I'm really big on is not just, everyone's like, oh, you're the weight loss guy. No, I'm not just a weight loss guy. I'm the overall health guy.
Overall health guy.
I'm going to say a good 30% of my clients aren't actually trying to lose a pound.
Right.
They are just trying to get their mobility back. And one of the things that I do with them is calf raises. And again, boring exercises, because there's pretty much only one way to do it. Although I will say, we talk about toe lifts. And again, that's going to get when we get to the feet. But with our calves, we spend too much time on our calves and not the whole lower leg. Okay? Doing tibialis raises, which is basically a reverse calf raise, rather than pushing your toes to the ground, you bring your toe towards your knees.
Yeah, who does that?
No one does that. No one does. And as a matter of fact, I didn't even know what I was training for a good solid 2 years. We do it in yoga. I do it now when I do calf raises, and a lot of times I'll do it as sort of a resting exercise while I squat, where I'll tie a band around the squat rack. Right. I'll have a bench or a box sitting, and I will pull my toes back towards my. And guess what? Once I started doing it and actually started going up and using heavier and thicker bands, I got a little faster. My box jump got a little higher. My power on my takedowns, my explosiveness, all of that. I started noticing measurable increases in all of that stuff. Being able to jump faster, being able to kneel with a ball in my hand and get off of the ground and get that ball against the wall faster. Those little things, again, little muscles, little things. What's the expression? The devil's in the details.
Devil's in the details.
Right? And again, you can have the biggest pecs, the biggest biceps, the biggest quads out there, but until you start working, how can you not? Having big muscles is great if you can use them.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think people miss calves because when they leg press, when they squat, when they do all these movements, calves are involved. So it's kind of like I did calves.
Right. And when you walk.
Yeah.
And there is some truth to that. Oh, every time you take a step, you're working your calves. Yeah, but every time you take a step, you're working your quads too. But
it's the
no,
same as
but
a
step one's still
construction
squat.
worker. We still encourage them to work out because they're lifting the load differently.
I mean, I feel like that comes into everything. Is people say, like you said, a construction worker, factory workers. When I worked in Dundalk, I used to have a lot of people who had longshoremen. People who worked in the harbor and the docks. They say, "Oh, I have a very physical job." Okay, but how long you been doing your physical job
Yeah,
for?
your body's used to it.
10, 5, 10, whatever years. Your body's adapted to that. And most of them who had physical jobs, I've also had this, who had physical jobs, then they got promoted.
And then they sit down.
They sit down, or they're not lifting, or maybe they're still walking, but they're not moving the weight that they used to use. Now all of a sudden, all of those, I find that with people who are like in their 30s, because that's usually about in those types of jobs where that happens.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they were lifting the weight and moving around, and some of them still move around,
right?
But they start losing strength because they're not, and then all the other bad habits that they have with nutritionally start to catch up with them. Calves is a foundational muscle, but your calves are only part, because the real foundation of the lower part of your body is in your feet. And I don't think most people don't really understand what it means to train the feet. When they say train the feet, they think I'm talking about training training the calves. And I'm not. I'm talking about the foot. One of the things that I have started to do, especially in my squat, my deadlift, sometimes shoulder press, I don't do it much on a bench press, train in my bare feet, or at least if I'm in the gym in my socks. If you have a gym set up in your house, if you're the type of person that is working out at home and have a decent kind of bench squat rack set up, I encourage you, train in your bare feet.
Yeah.
Train, and I mean bare feet. I mean socks off, feet on the ground. If you have the ability to train outside, do it.
Sure.
In the gym, yeah, I get it. Okay, you might want to keep your socks, at least keep your socks on. Your gym's pretty clean, but
pretty clean. It's damn clean.
Someone was just mopping it when I got here.
It's damn clean.
Yeah, actually, your gym is clean. But again, those I get not wanting to walk around the gym in your bare feet.
I am a foot trainer, so I am someone that is constantly. I do teach yoga, so foundation is everything. Your feet are everything. So that's where we use the tennis ball. Anytime I do a leg workout or anything, I myofascial release my feet. I get through the knuckles and everything. I don't train barefoot. I like the barefoot shoes.
Okay.
Personally, because I am going to.
I do not need another pair of shoes in my closet.
Well,
or gym bag.
That's okay. I have more shoes than you, I'm sure. Your brother doesn't have a best friend who works for Adidas.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, it's just one of those things. Like, yes, I get it. There's that funk factor. Like, oh, I'm not going to take off my shoes. You can myofascial release though. We have tennis balls at the gym, and I do love, and I challenge anyone: roll out one foot. And start off with this, jump and like do like a little hop jump, and then roll your foot out and then do that same hop jump. Go the other foot. You're going to feel the tightness. Same with rolling out your glutes. If you roll out one glute, you're going to feel the softness in that glute versus going over to the other side.
Lift your toes.
Yeah.
Flex your toes. Adduct your toes. Where you're actually spreading your toes out.
Yeah. In the shower, you can just take a lot of soap and go in between and give a good grip between all those toes. Turn. Great work.
Someone who's a little more advanced, especially if you are training in your socks or your bare feet, or even in the barefoot shoes, when you unrack your squat before you start your deadlift, just stand there, lock your feet into the floor. Imagine there's a groove and you are locking your feet in place. Just do that. Grip the floor with your toes. Those little things, again, plantar fasciitis, posture, your ankle mobility, all of that comes from the feet.
Sure.
Okay. And people say, well, you said tibialis raises, bringing your toes to your. No, I'm not talking about moving your ankle.
Yeah, just
I'm talking lifting your toe, like you're trying to bring your toe back towards your shin. Do that, and find out how much stronger, how much less ache, and not even pain, not even straight pain, but just ache and that general fatigue you get. I have that a lot of times because I walk around the gym all day, and I do wear softer shoes,
Right.
because I don't want my feet to hurt at the end of the day. I don't want my knees to hurt at the end of the day, because gyms have notoriously hard floors. So when people like me drop weights, we're not messing up the carpet or breaking the wood or whatever. But so I get it, but at the same time, at some point, and this goes back into what you're talking about with your 2 week reset with the grounding.
Love me some grounding.
And first of all, I am a big believer in grounding. Okay, and that kind of stuff. If
you weren't, I mean, I'd have to just.
I know, I'd be out of a job. But I do believe in grounding, but I also believe, even if you don't believe in because I know there are people that doubt about the electrical transfer from the earth and all of that kind of stuff. However, just standing in your bare feet on the ground has benefits to your health and your health of your feet and your overall mental health.
I think people underestimate their fascia system too, that you have fascia fibers that go all the way from your nose all the way up to your head. So when you're doing all of that, why you're saying you don't have that pain and everything like that, you are lengthening out those fascia fibers that have been bound and gummed together. So again, that when you're doing those toe lifts, you're not doing it for strength and muscles. You're doing it for those fascia fibers and getting length.
Number one, and this is the biggest part, I think that most people don't train. Okay, we talked about the low back. That's starting to come out. That's been and some of it is me going down the rabbit hole. I've seen the low back. We've talked about the feet. We've talked about the calves. We've talked about the upper back. But one of the biggest things I don't think people train.
They don't.
And they straight up don't. Even people who are in shape, otherwise overall healthy, and really real healthy, not just, oh, we look like we're healthy, but really healthy, do not train your grip/forearms.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is, I've always talked about wanting to be independent as I get older.
Wipe your own butt.
Wipe my own butt. Part of being able to wipe my own butt is not just being able to reach back there, but actually grip something to get back there. Like, that's my biggest thing.
Hold your fork.
An average, hold my fork, open my own jar of pickles.
Yep.
I had the really exciting opportunity and privilege to go to the NSCA conference this year that was in Baltimore. If you don't know what that is, it is the National Strength and Conditioning Coaches Association. It is a conference of leading fitness professionals, fitness researchers, and even a few celebrities. I learned a lot, but one of the coolest things I learned, there was the keynote speaker named Dr. Joseph Signorelli. His big research was in power training for the elderly population. And one of the things he was telling the story, one of his clients/subjects, they were some sort of Hispanic, I can't remember the nationality, but they were cooking.
Okay.
It was an older grandmother was cooking. And her daughter, the grandmother's daughter, was trying to open a jar of pickles, and she handed it to her daughter and said, "Go tell your father to open this." The daughter took it to the grandmother and said, "You're stronger than Daddy," because she had been training and working on the power, and she opened the jar of pickles. That's what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be able to open my own jar of pickles, my own. I say wipe my own butt, but there are tons of links to your grip strength and your overall rest of your strength and your mental health. If you can't open something, once you start, and that's one of the things that's going to go. Here's the thing: we expect to have low back pain as we're older because we're taught that we're going to. I'm not saying we have to, but we're taught that we're going to. We expect to have pain in our feet as we get older because we're taught that we're going to. What no one ever talks about is that those types of things, that loss in the grip strength, that not being able to raise my shoulder over my head, my hand over my head, not be able to reach around and pick something up. Those are the types of things that I think that if we, with just a little bit of work,
just have a dead hang
at a minimum, carry in between sets, carry something. Yes, you can do things like wrist curls, wrist extensions, deviation work where your pronation. All time you can twist with under load. You can pronate under load. I'm sorry, deviate under load. You can do all of those things. And yes, some of that is a little more advanced and gets into I'm trying to actually grow strength in
Right.
there.
I just throw a dead hang in,
Right.
and they call them suitcase carries. So I
Mhm.
just carry 2 kettlebells around, you know. And again, it goes back to those fascia fibers lengthening and pulling. You're going to feel that pull up through the elbow, up through the shoulder, into the armpit, lat muscles. I mean, you carry heavy load. I'm not talking like 5 pounds. Pick up something heavy, let it pull on you.
And pull against it.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Don't just let it pull and let it slouch you
Yeah.
over. Actively resist it
Mhm.
and carry it.
Yeah.
Keep your traps engaged. Keep your shoulders up. Keep your
Yep.
shoulders back, and walk with good posture.
Yes. Well, everything should be
Oh,
posture.
I'm saying you don't
Yeah.
just let it pull you down and slump you down,
forward.
right, and hunch forward.
I'm carrying load.
Right.
The dead hangs, start timing yourself. You might find that, oh my God, you can only hold on for 10 seconds. And then you fight yourself to 11 seconds, you fight yourself to 15. And then all of a sudden you're dead hanging. And again, a dead hang, remember, is a fully dead hang. Just allow the body to hang there. And get length. I love them.
I have a love-hate relationship because I understand the importance of it and I do like it.
Ugh.
My part is that it's not that my grip gives out; it's the pain in my hands from my calluses.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like,
Deep breath through it, man.
yeah, like that's
Be
what
tough.
that's
Suck
what
it
I
up,
feel like
buttercup.
that's what gets me before my actual grip
Yeah.
gives out. But back to what you said,
The pinch.
right? That pin, like, going back to what you said about carrying and not just letting it hang there and resist against it. What you said about your fascia system, your fascia and your ligaments, because a lot of people come in and they'll tell me, "Oh, my elbow hurts. My elbow hurts." Well, really, what it is because you've been doing puller exercises, and now your lats and your rear delts are stronger than your grip. You can't hold the weight that you're trying to do. And yes, there's even people who are more functionally stronger like that, and that's why they use straps and Versa grips and those types of things. And I understand that, but at the same time, those people also usually have a stronger grip to begin with. Mm-hmm. If we want to train our grip, it's something that we have to actively train. Even those stupid machines that we all had in every 1980s bodybuilder's gym bag. Yeah, squeezing something, because there's a thing that I've learned about recently, and it is kind of an athlete thing, but it's called active grip, and it's your ability to grab something that is moving and stop it. So again, think
like
of a
ball swinging towards you and grab it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like you see like what's his name, Odell Beckham Jr. played for the Ravens, just played for the Giants. He made a catch once. He made a catch once where he actually caught the ball in between his thumb and his index finger like that. Just I mean, literally reached out and did like that and caught a 50-mile-an-hour football.
Right.
That takes a lot of strength.
I'm sure.
Right. You don't get strength in your hands like that without training your grip in some way, shape, or form.
I remember my dad having those, and he would just sit there and watch TV.
We have a member here at Model A who has Mike Atkins.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Who is a wrestling coach, and his grip
is freaking phenomenal. I mean, that is one hand. As a child, you would not want to do that.
Dude, this guy, and he's older too. He's well into his 70s.
I don't think well.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, he's into his 70s, he's got a bone crushing grip.
Yeah.
That goes back to what I said in the very beginning. So what's a good? You can test your grip. An average grip, healthy grip strength for men is 57 pounds of force. For women, they say 35 pounds of force is an average, like an average.
Is this 35 pounds of force?
I don't know. You need a grip tester, but again, a grip tester is not one of those. It's one of those things that I think we've got one at one of the gyms I work at, and it's one of those things that when I saw it, I started using it in my fitness assessments.
Right. It's a great idea.
It is. It was one of those things that I looked at it. They're not expensive. They're like $20, and you can do it, and you basically squeeze it, and it tells you how much force you're generating through your grip. And I'm just like, this is such a great idea.
They should have that as a contest at carnival.
They don't. No, they have the.
Yeah, they have the slam.
Okay, that's even better one. Yeah. So, next time you're in the gym, the point of all of this is next time you're in your gym and you're in a rush. I get it. Find a way to incorporate these things in your workout. Whether it's just do a couple Supermans when you're doing your little ab workout at the end, because I bet you make time to work your abs, even though you know you can't spot reduce if you've listened to the show for any length of time. I'll bet bet you worked your quads. Like you said, if you're on the leg press, do a couple of calf extensions at the end of your set of leg presses.
Even just a stretch, I mean,
right.
It doesn't have to be because you're trying to build the muscle.
Right. It does. And you're right. You're absolutely right. It doesn't have to be. My point is, you're there anyway.
Right.
Take advantage of those seconds while you're resting. Do something to get those small muscles, because those small muscles will go a long way. I'm again going back to what I said before about bolting a powerful engine into the frame. If you're using cheap Home Depot bolts and not bolts built for racing, it's kind of the same thing. Something's going to happen to that engine. So make sure that your engine is bolted into a strong frame. Work your forearms, work your low back, your upper back, your calves, and your feet. So that is that, and your grip. That is all we have for this week. Join us next week. Cameron and I are going to be dispelling a couple of fitness myths that we have picked up. These are some more recent ones that we want to talk about. And again, most of them are going to be half true. Okay. Most of them are going to be half true, but I feel like sometimes we've talked about, you and I have talked about this, about how we focus too much on little things, looking for that magic bullet. So we're going to talk about some things that have come to be magic bullets in the last, we'll say 5 years. Okay. And we're going to talk about them and the pros and cons of those. So join us next week for one of my favorite topics, more fitness half-truths. And until next week, follow Cameron at Model A Fitness on Facebook and Instagram. Carol, Love Yourself Health Coaching on Facebook and Instagram. Check me out, DWebster023 on Instagram, Rockstar Fitness on Facebook. Follow the show on Facebook and Instagram. And until next week, ladies and gentlemen,